Hello and welcome to the Driving Hispanic Recommendations session sponsored by Zocalo Group. My name is Hugo Perez. I'm the Senior Vice President and Hispanic Marketing Lead here. And I'll be taking you through a session on how we use the power of recommendations to drive market sales in the Hispanic segment. A little bit first about who we are though at Zocalo. We are a part of the Ketchum Network, Omnicom's premier word-of-mouth marketing firm. And we focus and specialize on using the power of word-of-mouth marketing and social media to make brands the most talked about and recommended in their categories, online and offline. We're headquartered here in Chicago, but we have global capabilities, fully engaged in this space in whatever way it might be necessary. And actually, you might even say we helped invent this field when it comes to Hispanic marketing as one of the initial co-authors of the first Latino social media guide that was published in 2010. Our processes as a social media and word-of-mouth marketing agency have been awarded and recognized over the years. Iron Saber Awards, Silver Anvils. We've been reputably called out by the Times Report. And we, are working very hard to continue to make social media and the work that's happening in this space, and then particularly today in the Hispanic segment, something that's usable by agencies, brands all across the world. Our CEO is the past chairman of the Word-of-Mouth Marketing Association, a member of the Better Business Bureau, and both he and I have been presenters at Hispanicize, one of the leading conferences for Hispanic social media marketers. So what do we know about this space? We know today that 92% of people say that recommendations from a friend or a family member or a colleague or someone is the single most powerful determinant of their purchase decision. Our work here at Zocalo starts with that understanding, that knowing that when people recommend something, it has the strongest potential to influence the purchase decision. So we're working to craft opportunities that take advantage of that recommendation. As you may be aware, recommendations are now being seen as a true holy grail of marketing. People recognize that in today's environment with so many stimuli coming into our lives, with so many different ways of people getting information, of being told about brands, when you have a brand that's being recommended by someone that you trust and respect, the opportunity for you as a marketer to get that product to be trialed is much higher. And so that's what we focus on here in our efforts at Zocalo. We understand that within social networks, consumers are creating over 500 billion impressions by talking about products or services each year. So how do we go about grabbing those conversations and using them to the benefit of what we're doing? Most of you that would listen to a presentation like this might understand that mass connectors are what's accounting for 80% of the online influence in the social networks. Simply put, a small amount of people are influencing a large amount of the population when it comes to the online space. So again, what we try to do within the work at Zocalo Group is figure out how do we get those connectors together, targeting those influencers and getting them to work for us in a big way in getting the brands that we represent talked about. In our space here, we understand that sustainable recommendations are driven by 4 key factors in the social media word-of-mouth space. First of all, they're the brand fans. Brand fans are those people that really get what your product is about, what your brand is about, that are supportive, that are engaged, and that are eager to talk about your brand in a positive way out across their channels of communication. And we work hard to identify those folks, to be a part of their conversations, and to get them moving forward on talking about the brands in the way that are going to make those brands recommended. We also know that there's industry influencers out there. These are the tastemakers, the people that are out there in whatever the category is, that are the ones that those of us that are consumers are looking to for input, for recommendation, for just their opinions. What do they think about these products? What do they think about these services? And part of our work then is designed around identifying these industry influencers and getting them aligned so that we can use them and their power of recommendation for the brands. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, people are looking to those that they trust and respect for recommendations. So we know that a lot of times that's from their peers or their families. And so we work to identify those relationships as well and try to categorize them and impact those relationships so that then we can get those folks to recommend the brands that we are talking about. It's also important as we understand how sustainable recommendations are driven to understand that there's what we call determined detractors. And these are the folks that we all are aware of that no matter what you do are always the negative Nillies, the Debbie Downers, those that are just not happy with the products, the services, the opportunities, the way they're presented. And so as important as it is to identify those that are positively influencing your brand, it's also important to be aware of those that are negatively impacting your brand and have planned strategies and approaches to deal with those, to mitigate those situations, to downplay the impact on the efforts that you're trying to do. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is to reach our target consumer in the way that's going to be most impactful for them and get them to, at the end, recommended brands among their peer influencers, their group of influencers, and beyond, so that the brand is seen in the most reputable light. When we think about the Hispanic word of mouth opportunity, it takes on an additional layer, and Hispanic word of mouth is something that has always been around. In fact, you know, our name Zocalo comes from the Mexican word that means meeting space or the meeting square. And although we work in the general market and the Hispanic market, you know, it's exciting to be in a space right now in this country where the Hispanic opportunity is so great. And we know that in general it's because of 4 key reasons. Number one, Hispanics are a critical and growing part of brand target audiences. Most brands today would tell you that the opportunity to engage with the largest and fastest growing minority group is something that they just can't afford to pass up anymore. And so when we look at word of mouth opportunities, we know that Hispanics are talking in this space, and so we want to make sure that we are tapping into those conversations as they have a big buying power, which is number 2, the buying power, which is significant. Some research is showing that by the year 2013 or 2014, the Hispanic buying power will be in the $2 or $3 trillion level. It's an amount of money that's amazing to consider. And when you look at the space, you understand that their preference and their purchase and their recommendation is having a deep impact on the bottom line of most companies. So important to tap into this big buying power because of the opportunity that it has for your bottom line. Research has also shown us that Hispanic campaigns that are focused on Hispanics produce results. And what that means simply is that instead of having a tag on or something that, you know, is an afterthought, it's about creating campaigns from the get-go, initiating campaigns that are intentionally focusing on the Hispanic market. The studies have shown us that Hispanic-specific campaigns have seen overall sales revenue increases, even of up to 47, 50%, because what happens is the Hispanic is recognizing brands that are treating them as the valued customer focus that they should be. And we also know that in today's environment with so many brands, the diversity that's out there, the plethora of opportunities, you know, the opportunity to gain some of that Hispanic support is up for grabs. You know, Hispanics by and large, when they like a brand and they feel respected by the brand, will be loyal for a long time. But right now there's a lot of brands that are, you know, the cracks are showing, and the Hispanic community is realizing it's good for me to see what's out there and then to realign my taste, my purchase decision based on who is addressing the needs that I have. And so we see that as an opportunity that needs to be focused on very strongly. Make sure that your brand is solidly committed to the market, and then make sure that you're letting them know that you're solidly committed by the way that you're engaging them. And word of mouth is a strong way of doing that. You know, we know that today's Hispanic market is extremely diverse. You know, in the U.S. we have upwards of 21 different Hispanic nationalities. We're up to at least 4 generations of Hispanics that are identified here. We've been here for a long time. The languages range from those that speak solely English to those that speak solely Spanish, and the in-between, you know, and the in-between for me is actually a very interesting spot, that Spanglish that seems to be growing more and more with the younger generations that are coming up through. We know that aside from the fact that Hispanics can be found everywhere in the U.S. nowadays, there are 5 core U.S. Hispanic regions by and large: New York, Chicago, Miami, Texas, and California. These are spots where you're going to find really big centers of Hispanics, and it's important to have opportunities identified in those areas. And we know that in addition to all the myriad of small reasons that Hispanics may have come to this country, there are three primary reasons that have been identified over and over: economic opportunities, political upheavals in the home countries, and familial reasons as well. And so as you understand these motivations, you understand how to target your approaches. And then we, of course, know about the core demos. We talked about the generations that have been here in this country. Huge opportunity to work with the younger demos, 3 of those demos being under 40. Biggest part of the Hispanic population, big opportunity to reach a market that's going to be with you for a long time. You know, a little bit on just what we've been hearing about earlier this year with the census research that's come out. We know that Hispanics are the fastest growing population segment in the U.S., topping over 50 million already and continuing to rise at a dramatic pace. You know, being such a big part of the population means that they're have an opportunity, that you as a brand have an opportunity to target a segment that's not only large but continues to grow and has a long time to grow with you and have longevity in terms of brand allegiance and affinity. So it's worthwhile to be considering this segment. And it's also important to understand that not only is it the fastest growing demographic segment, but it's a diverse segment. You know, lots of different Hispanics from different population centers around the world really are what make the Hispanic in the U.S. Mexicans, by and large, are the biggest in the U.S., you know, dramatically so, but there are many other groups that make up the Hispanic population, and so it's important to be able to identify what's happening within the different target regions that you're targeting or working in, and be able to adjust your strategies to make sure that you are not downplaying or dismissing a segment that might be of bigger prominence in the area that you're at. We know that Hispanics are more engaged overall online than the general market. Hispanics tend to be early adopters of technology, and they enjoy the equality that's provided by the online space. You know, because of the rise of online technologies, the rise of mobile technology, there's an equalizing factor among the Hispanic population in the mindset. Now there's an opportunity for the Hispanic to have as equal a conversation or an engagement or an access to a brand as the general market has had because of the advent of these technologies. And Hispanics are running with this and enjoying this. And not only are they overly engaged, more engaged than the general market, they're doing so in very key areas. For example, as creators of content, they like to talk about what they see. As critics, they're not afraid to share an opinion. And as, you know, collectors and spectators, these are the folks that like to hit the like button on your Facebook pages and like to have lots of brands represented on their pages. There's a pride in being associated with the brands that are making a difference in our country. By and large, also Hispanics, just like the general market, run right to the internet when they're looking for information about the purchases that they are going to make. The internet plays a strong role in the decisions that they make and how they go about finding the products and how they compare the products that they're choosing. And they are actively contributing to social media commentary. You know, some research has shown that up to 60% of Hispanics are online today. They're writing blogs, they're sharing opinions, they're writing reviews. Hispanics are out there, you know, engaged in all the spaces that the general market is in, and then some, sharing their thoughts about whatever is happening around them. And so savvy marketers are understanding this, working in those spaces, and working to align the conversations so that they are credibly represented among this market segment.